We call this Cupid's checklist. First, do you have similar backgrounds, similar bases for your ideals and standards? Second, are you real friends, comrades, pals through thick and thin? And third, do you both understand marriage? Oh, not the kind in most movies or in most popular songs, but the real everyday kind of marriage between real people.
I think that some people do feel a little bit pressured, and I think that the huge problem with that is that people can rush into marriage. And like, I personally am not looking so much for marriage as much as I'm looking for love, you know, to fall in love and to find companionship, someone that I want to spend the rest of my life with. I don't want just the status of being married. I think that those things are a precursor, at least they have to be a precursor to marriage, to tying the knot, as they say. But I think that it can be a problem when people rush into marriage. If they do feel pressured, they find someone that maybe they like, or maybe they're attracted to, or maybe they can handle being around, they're not extremely bothered by, and then they just decide to marry that person. And then, you know, year or years down the road, you know, things don't really work out, they don't really pan out, and they're not happy together. I think that's a huge problem. I think that you should find someone that you love and that you are willing to work through like those rocky times with. And so I think that can be a problem. If you feel pressured to get married and you get married because of that pressure, that's the wrong reason to get married. It shouldn't be because of pressure, it should be because of love.
When you two met, there was probably an early physical reaction, a romantic attraction that pulled you together, a love appeal that hit you sort of boing.
How did you know?
Well, it happened to me. But it takes more than this boing. For you see, if you're too far apart psychologically, if your backgrounds are not similar enough, it can cause a great deal of argument and unhappiness until it's gone.
Where'd it go?
That's what you'll be saying about your romantic love if these other things cause a breakup.
As the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we don't believe in premarital sex, and so I think that's a huge reason. And obviously you have, you know, 19 to 25-year-old boys who are just extremely hormonal, and that's totally natural to have, you know, those sexual desires. And I think that can be another huge reason that maybe people do want to get married. And I think that also is probably the wrong reason to get married. If you're just getting married so that you can legally or like morally have sex and not break the commandments, things like that, that's not a reason to get married at all.
Yeah, well, you know, they get married because they're attracted to each other, and that's it, you know. And then they realize that there's more to being with someone forever than, you know, than just sex. You know, we have sort of these rules that, you know, there's no fornication before marriage. And so I think a lot of people make that decision because of that reason alone, because of all that, the hormones that are flowing. You know, they can't wait, man. They want to get married, and so they get married so they can do that. A lot of times I think it does happen, which is sad because, you know, you realize that, you know, you're stuck with this person every day for the rest of your life. Yeah. Sex lasts a moment. Being a wife lasts your whole life.
You can look at the divorce rate in the state of Utah, and then the majority of that divorce rate are people that have been married for a year or less. And so you're finding a lot of recently returned missionaries who are marrying young girls, and then they realize, oh, maybe I wasn't ready for this, or maybe I did get married for the wrong reasons, and then they end up getting divorced a year later. And so I think that's a huge problem, and definitely that pressure that has been created is absolutely the wrong reason to get married.
In the LDS community, there's definitely a lot of pressure to stay together, you know, and that has to do with religious reasons, and you know, it's kind of tragic, you know, if they do end up getting divorced, because a lot of times, you know, that, you know, our beliefs in like eternal marriage, that the family can be sort of forever. You know, you get married in a temple and get sealed to each other, as we say it, and you know, a divorce that happens in the temple has to be approved by the prophet of the church, which is kind of a big deal. And, you know, like, So it's not just like something you have to go down to the courthouse or call a lawyer and take care of it. It's like you also have the religious part of it. And it's like two things being sealed together. They sort of have to be broken.
No, sir. This is forever with Larry and me.
Fine, I hope so. But don't you think it's wise to take time to find out how much strain these differences might put on your romantic love?
But there isn't any time. Larry's going away in a couple of months.
A lot of missionaries get dumped while they're on their mission. They get that letter that says, oh, well, I've met somebody, and it's just like, I mean, you could pretty much, I don't know, I could probably just make it up, make the letter up myself and tell you what happens in every one of them. But I had companions, man, that got dumped by, some letter because they met some other returned missionary. Some other returned missionary came home and had the hots for her and their singles ward, and that was that. So, yeah, luckily I didn't have someone waiting for me. So it was easy for me to be like, shh, please, girls, they're only trouble.
Here's another angle that should interest you both. How age when married affects the chance for happiness. You can see that the chances are better after the man reaches 21 or so.
My personal opinion, I think there's a lot of growing up to do. And of course everybody's different, but I think there's a lot of experiences to be had, from 20 to 25. I think that's when I've learned the most about myself, is not necessarily on my mission, because I was always doing something, but in the last 6 years, I've sort of come to realize who I am, maybe as far as being a returned missionary and not being successful, by getting married. That's also kind of like, I think a lot of people can get depressed over that reason, people that don't get married. I am not too depressive, I can get down on myself because of those pressures, but, it's not like you're going to go to hell if you don't get married, and a lot of people never get married.
I have a lot of friends that have, gotten married, and also the kids that are a few years younger than me, they come home off their missions. A lot of them are getting married as well at this time, that I know. But me personally, I haven't, I don't really feel too discouraged or depressed. I don't get discouraged because I feel, and I know that my time's gonna come, so to speak. Having that positive outlook that I am gonna eventually find someone to marry, maybe not today, maybe not in a year, but having that faith that time will come keeps me motivated, and it doesn't allow me to get discouraged.
Happiness is achievable, and I think that religion is one thing that brings me happiness personally, and that can bring a lot of people happiness, and then love, marriage, family, etc. are other things that bring people happiness. So I think that's kind of the end goal, is we're all searching for happiness, we're all searching for where we can be happy, or where we can be kind of where our soul can feel comfortable, I guess, in this life. And so I think that where that's the end goal, we need to find those things that truly do make us happy, and not just do what we feel like we have to do, but do what is going to make us happy.